Welcome to the CEO Mastery Show, another week. Last week, you heard the first version of Business of Biohacking Summit with Dave Asprey. What we did is, in front of a room, we trained on day one on how to craft a pitch. Now, 97% of the time, an elevator pitch will fail you. Why is that? Because if you were in an elevator with that person, only, according to the buyer's pyramid, only 3% are in the buying now category. So if you just pitch yourself, 97% of the time it will fail. Another 7%, they may be open to it. The next 30% are not thinking about you. The following 30% think that they're not interested. And the last 30% are definitely not interested. So if you actually want that person to say yes, you need a stadium pitch, not an elevator pitch, because an elevator pitch educates the entire buyer's pyramid from somebody that's completely cold and brings them up into the buying now category. This is why we fail at so much of our marketing and sales, because we're wasting our time just talking about me. Me, my product is great, we're different from the rest, my service is wonderful, we're better than our competitors, and yet we don't take the time to be strategic about education. So the first day, we trained everyone in the room on how to craft their stadium pitch. They had all night to work on their stadium pitches. First thing the next morning, they then competed per table, giving their stadium pitches. Each person would give 60 seconds of a stadium pitch. Then each table would have to give feedback. So everyone got to play a role, and then they would vote at the table who would be number one. That's how we created our top 10. And then from the top 10, they had to then pitch me, and then I had to decide from the 10 down to the top 5. It was one of the hardest decisions because they were all fantastic. I only wish I could have shown you what the pitches were like before they got all of this practice, because the exponential growth was unreal. At the beginning, I asked the room on a scale from 1 to 10, how confident do you feel you could take a cold prospect and turn them into taking action within less than 60 seconds? We were averaging at about, I think, a 4. And by the end, we were averaging at an 8. So the confidence doubled for those in the room working on their pitches, which was wonderful. So you're seeing yet another one of the finalists, and this finalist worked at this more than any other contestant in the room. I mean, she was just relentless about her pig-headed discipline and determination, and that's what got her on stage. Here you go.
My stadium is full of investors.
All right.
I grew up athletic. I have my black belt in jiu-jitsu. I also have fat on the inside of my knees and cellulite up to my ass. My mission is to wear shorts comfortably. 77% of women and many men are dissatisfied with their bodies, globally spending $61 billion, with body sculpting leading the growth. Yet our competitors are focusing on faces with 1 to 3 body options. Introducing Body Positive, the first luxury med spa of its kind. I'm raising $1.1 million for equity for our launch in Vancouver. Cool Sculpting is an eighth of our model, effective but not the complete solution. We're marrying Cool Sculpting with biohacking tech for unparalleled body transformations. I'm a registered nurse with a decade of experience, 11,000 cycles, propelling my employer to top Cool Sculpting sales in Canada, driving 400% growth and 1.45 million ARR 2018 to 2022. Together, we can empower individuals, forge corporate wellness partnerships, and strengthen community impact. We pledge allegiance to our bodies with clothes on or off. Don't you think it's time to get your body positive on? Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you keep saying it, I remember dirty jokes and quotes, and there's this caption I saw years ago. I always loved it. I think about it all the time. And it was like at a little rest stop that I was driving on. I don't know like how it was, but it was like in a little town, and it was a sugar packet, and it said advertising. The caption was, "He who has something to sell that whispers in a well is not as apt to make the shiny dollar as the guy that climbs a tree and hollers." And I was like, and I just remembered it. It was like, wow, that's so. if you keep saying what you were saying, it's powerful. It's really good. The opening was fantastic. The 61 billion, the body positive, the cool sculpting is only 1% of it. So you didn't throw it out, but you wanted to, grab that for credibility. Coupled with biohacking tech, it'd be nice if you could say, what the heck does that actually mean? Because that may, what is that, right? But yeah, I just 11,000 cycles. I think you could say more about making you sound more credible, because the way you said the employer, you've been a nurse, you sound credible, but I think you can make yourself sound more powerful and why you're qualified, because you're explaining the opportunity, you're wanting to raise money. Part of it is really savvy investors. It's never about the thing, it's about the person. I mean, you take a driven, talented, skilled person that will do anything to make something successful. I have literally truly wasted at least $6 million in startups, from 25,000 to 50,000, on ideas that I loved, but it's always the person. You're betting on the jockey, not necessarily the horse, although it can't be a dilapidated bad horse. They both need to be there. But I think you can make yourself more powerful there. But other than that, I thought it was fantastic.
Thank you.
So Meagan came to me for feedback more than any other person in this room times 10. She was determined. It didn't matter what would happen. She would get to that spot. And because of that, I respect her. The feedback I'm not going to give you on your stadium pitch, I'm going to give you feedback on how you show up. You showed up like a queen, but the way in which you show up is insecure, that you don't know if what you're saying is okay. And you don't know if what you're doing is okay. And please, do you mind giving me a moment? And I appreciate that you ask me for a moment every time. And that's why you're up here. But I would like to see you stand with that confidence of that jiu-jitsu badass and do that with everything you do. Because you have earned that. You have shown time and time again a black belt, $1 million a year. 92% of people do not make it to $1 million. And of that, 5% are female. So that's 8% of the entire population, and so you are a percentage of a percentage. Now just fucking own it.
I would love to see you go to 40 years of Zen for that specific thing. Like there's almost a sense of anxiety, partly because you're on stage, right? But also when you're pitching investors, they have to see how much you believe in it. Right. And what I saw there was an amazing pitch, a really good idea, but there wasn't contiguity between the way you were holding your energy, holding yourself, and your pitch, which made me, does she really believe this? Right. And when you're dealing with investors who are experienced, like Joe said, like they're going to be betting on the person. And that's something you can work on. There's lots of different ways, lots of different paths, and it doesn't take a lot of time. But once you're aware of it, it's something you can easily handle. Love the vulnerability in the opening. Being a little bit self-effacing is great. There's people like Joe who are just so self-effacing, but it's true. So, at the very beginning, you said I say this 4 times before I knew why you were telling me that. Is there a way you can make one I statement? Because these are legit. You're like I worry about my ass. Okay, that's real, right? But I worry about this. I. You can say the same things and say I less, and it'll land better. Okay. And people won't know why it lands better. It just does. So, but the vulnerability there, so I deal with this stuff, right? And that's why you do this. And like it was a problem I had to solve. I love that. You mentioned your competition in the pitch to investors. Like, why would you want me to think about your competitors? Like, fuck those guys. You don't have any competitors. They're special. And if they want to ask, they can ask. Okay. Right? And if you're going through a full pitch deck, there is always a slide on competitors. There's always like, we're up and to the right, and they're all in the bottom of it. That's later, not in your senior pitch. That I know cool sculpting is, but most people don't. So if you talk about cool sculpting and no one knows what the F it is, you made it feel dumb, right? And so what you want to do there is cool sculpting is this incredible way to actually make fat cells permanently die. You don't say it with cold and all the other stuff. It's innovative technology. You don't have to say it's 1% of whatever, right? You can say we have an innovative tech, right? All that other stuff, who cares? That's later. Like, shine more. Does that make sense? And at the end, I heard some kind of word salad about empower, community impact. Man, I don't even know what the fuck that was there for. What were you trying to get me to believe?
That we can strengthen community impact by partnering with corporations to help create wellness packages, improving their customer retention through their employee retention.
Okay. Look at your audience. Your audience is investors. Okay. Are you going to make me money? Okay. We're going to make you a lot of money and we're going to help it. Cool. But I heard empower, community impact. Like there's a lot of stuff in there that isn't my goal as an investor. If I'm looking at this as like, I got to write a check. Like, what am I going to do here? They care about those 10% as much as they care about making money. And you closed on those instead of closing on, this is a great business opportunity with more conviction.
Okay.
Make sense?
Okay.
Okay. Great job.
If you liked this episode and you'd like to have the Stadium Pitch Contest come to your community or your company, go ahead and visit chetholmes.com/speaking, and maybe I could come to you. Again, that's chetholmes.com/speaking.